no matter how I guide my brain, my attention, my domain. Radio science brain. The mind made me this minding agent, contagion I reach. I'm a contagious agent, I carry the symptoms of the human race. I am a band of one, but I'll band with you if you consensually want to band together. This is how we know we're wrong to something. Became starts with leaving. Became today. You have the right to pursue happiness. Imagine that, imagine it's boundless. As long as you're not swinging your arm in the street or saying we come to threaten, and will be a revolution where no one is made into meat. This will be a bloodless revolution if you don't stop us from doing what we would make you print in 950 sheets. Can you not threaten us in a page or less? Imagination might make patriots communicate today. Imagination might ask that we ask to communicate. Radio science brain liaise, perpendicular trains, parallel against hate, parallel against pain. Mindness, mindfulness may make us gain, not as prey, not prey to predator today, but game as play in the theater of action and democracy and traction, and a polity that's actually human. Radio science brain, we can wax out of rain, mind domain. Begin to liaise, executive function. We are all the president of our lives. We preside upon the meeting that needs our attention. But someone asks for the watch to preside, not to be king or to be a pirate. Imagination might contagious make fame, or we might still claim freedom and equality. That means no one's above anyone or more equal actually. Who would ask for a rupture of that? Who would let anyone give them a scepter rather than a desk resolute? That's a red flag. And what stained that flag? I sound the same flare. Radio science brain, save the presidency from the crook who tried to suspend it actually. Save the presidency, save the presidency for President 45, I plead. Save the presidency from the one just previously. Save the presidency from the one just now, and still of whom we're free. Imagination, it can tell us that we're freeze. We're in freeze like the iceberg that aims itself at our Titanic experiment and Titanic dread and Titanic paralysis, 'cause someone pointed at our heads and said, I'm coming for that. I'm coming to grab that. It's declassified. It's Project 2025. I'm not hopeless. I'm not hopeless at all. Radio Science Brain is typically about things that are pretty hopeful, or at least glancingly about the things that stand in the way of what we're really trying to build, that are the positive things. And where we are here at the mystery font. And what is the goat escape? It's just this idea. Here it is, Mr. President. I've been trying to boil this all down and solidify it into something clear, and see, I do need glasses, at least sometimes. You've shown prowess. You've demonstrated that multiple times, and you beat him soundly. You beat Trump soundly in 2020. And what if you give the speech 4 years early? The amazing, rousing, glorious speech, you give it 4 years early. Because you have the cogent vision to be aware of the difference between your ability to do the job and people's ability, having experienced a strange media moment that's not necessarily at all a fair snapshot or measurement, or the analysis that's drawn from it. It's not fair, but we cannot afford, you cannot afford, any candidate cannot afford facing Project 2025. Facing Project 2025, we cannot afford you, our candidate, to be encumbered with earning the right to be considered a candidate again, which is not where you are, but which is the game that will be played if there's any distraction. I think we need to arrest Kevin Roberts. I think we need to deal with people who are normalizing a terroristic police state, stretching its fingers out and having called, "We're coming to grab you by the crotch." This is about submission and about being aware to tell that the temperature of the water has been rising steadily, and to take control, whatever that means, so that it is the steady hand, whether that's you in command, however you want or need to be, or what if the mulligan that you don't want is magical? It's never happened ever before, and the strange thing is you don't want it, and what's stranger is we need it just because of the dumb impression, whatever. If that's just a fragment grenade that went off and needs healing, and you can't get up to pace and get that past you to focus on what's needed now, then what are the opportunities? Or even if there's an opportunity to consider, because of this, because people are telling you you should consider handing off, and because you don't want to, this is a Mulligan McGuffin. Mulligan McGuffin has never been so perfectly personified. The character of Mulligan McGuffin is a deus ex machina who simply appears and solves and saves the day, and people who are trying to, like, I was going to figure that out, and then I was going to take her to the dance afterwards, and it was going to be, I'm sorry, it's done, here are the keys to the car. I was going to buy that. Well done, dun, 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 dun. And this is, I don't know how and why, but might as well put it into those words, because it is, and it will, if done correctly, and if it's the correct thing to do. I know you can be president for 4 years. I know you can. I think your voice will be better introducing Kamala or whoever is your successor, whoever you nominate, whoever you put forward at a convention, be it this year or in 4 years. But the Mulligan McGuffin shows up and says, "Hey, it's all solved. I figured it out." What? Oh, Mulligan McGuffin, thank you. Wow. Do you want to stay for tea? I guess we don't need to go anywhere. Nope, bye. And he's out. My point is this. You give an amazing speech, and it's what it does is it uses the truth and pulls fact and truth back into reality. It is a perfect action against the world of Trump, which is all speaking of doing things. It's all reports of things. People are saying it's going to be the biggest. People are knowing it's, and you go beyond talking about what's honorable to seeing that if you sacrifice being the person that a minute ago it made sense for you to do it again, but you already kicked his ass soundly once. And there will never be a sound victory over Donald Trump that's clear. There never will be, because he's him. So take that you crushed him and now beat him in a way that he could never beat you. He would never sacrifice. He would never, ever sacrifice. And this is not only a way that you can give an incredibly moving speech for Kamala or whomever, but you can give an incredibly moving speech for Kamala that galvanizes and passes on the honor of someone willing, even if they're stubborn, even if they know they're the one, that unlike Trump, who will say he's the chosen one, even if he doesn't care, even if he's not on the list, you are the one. You can do this. But something happened, and it's never come to coincide with the opportunity to say, and potentially the truth, that maybe it's better that someone takes this moment. And to prevent, it's worth the consideration that this is not even, it may be a better option all around. And you should declare the moonshot mentor. And you should be the first one. Pass on the torch of candidacy. I propose you pass on the torch of candidacy and say, I'm president enough to know that I'm about to risk losing this chance for us. If I make this about, I need to show you all that I know I can do it. That's not the problem. This just can't be a game about this, and it will be. I can't make that go away about where our culture is right now. And I can't make it anybody's fault but mine if I ignore that. I can defend the Democratic ticket. And this is the way I'm going to do it. I give you the next president of the United States, and you tell us why they're the person for it. You tell us about the things that you think you brought to it, and that you do bring and you would want to bring, and you tell them why they have those things in spades. you got hit with an unexpected bit of shrapnel, Joe. You got hit with some shrapnel. You can probably do it fine. And don't let this get in the way of this moment we have to take on now. Maybe you are the fresh start. Maybe do it. I mean, if you are the candidate, do it. But don't make the stubbornness there. Make the stubbornness about the right choice. Not your choice, but you making the right choice. And making sure that you're not abandoning where the win for us is. Because only the real president would know when not to have the presidency go down with the president. You know? This is for the presidency for the rest of time. We know that. And I just think that the Nazis had this excuse of they were just following orders. And in America, it looks like our version is, I'm just trying to keep my job. And that's how Trump operates. That's what he encourages. And there is no set of words that you can utter that are the same as an action, like saying, I think you all know that I wanted to be president again, or at least that I was willing to do it with everything that I have to defend democracy and this nation and what we can do in the future. And that's what I'm going to do. But I'm not going to make people getting the yuck about me that I think I can outrun and show you, you know, I still got it. This isn't the moment for vanity or for concerns about my personal, like, it's just not the time. I know I have it. I'm not insecure about it, but that's a news cycle or two or more. We can't be distracted. I'm not going to let any of you be distracted from focusing on how we stop Project 2025. These people are contacting with sickness. The things that they want to do change our country in ways that could be devastating or at least massive. And these are changes that we should be doing, if we're doing them, through the system we have. I'm not going to let that happen by taking my eye off the ball. You guys are going to keep bringing this thing in. I know I'm ready, but frankly, I saw the footage. You know, I gave a pause. I said a wrong word. Like, I'm an old gentleman. This old gentleman knows because you're telling me to, because I don't want to, I'm taking the Mulligan and I'm passing on the McGuffin. This country's not going to vanish, not because I can't get over that I don't get to blow out the candles twice. I don't want them to go out forever. I want us to light them again. I want us to have another election. And I want to give the people a chance to vote for someone they don't have to make a stretch to be confident over. It's not about like or dislike. It's about ready or not. And if you don't demonstrate, or if something gets in the way of people seeing that you're ready, then you need to let them see someone who's ready. So let us see you're ready. Let us see you're ready, Joe, to take the Mulligan McGuffin, or ready where we forget about it. It has to be that level. We need to forget that there is the Mulligan McGuffin waiting. It is perfect. Because you don't want it, because you could do it, because you'll try. but you're not running against whether or not you can do it, and so you've already won. You're running against all the machine of media and just a weird, dumb thing that happened. It's like the Howard Dean thing where he's, you know, he doesn't realize people hear him, so he's just kind of going, yeah. And it sounds, because he's doing the gesture, it was just a weird, weird moment. He'd never held a mic in a crowd before and wanted to yell but not scream too loud, so he went, ah, and then that's what came across on the news feed. It was a weird, batshit moment. He might have been, that was president, right? I mean, he might have been a pretty phenomenal president. Who knows? But you were. And proving it is not letting your Achilles heel show up like Donald Trump's does all the time. Yours might be stubbornness. And to solve it in front of us for the specific reason that you're not going to let it be what breaks us. That you're like, I hear there's a lack of confidence. And there's been some confidence trickstering about these parts lately. And we need confidence. And if you have confidence in me left, then I know what to do with it. I am passing it to the person who I have all of the confidence in. It will never be forgotten. Don't juice it too hard. Don't point out how amazing it is, because it is so amazing. Just make the choice. It's not a small gesture, man. It's amazing. It's amazing. But lean into the idea, and if you do, into the solemnity of it, to what you have the chance to do, because you are leaving the watch, you know? But Trump treated it like crap. He never apologized for breaking the oath. He broke the oath of office. And when he broke the oath on the 6th, which he'd threatened to do, I'll keep you in suspense. When he broke the oath, I mean, he just, Pence is like, you got to do your duty. And he's like, duty, I'll do a real beauty. And he kind of defecated on that promise to be the eyes, to be the president, the one who watches over and presides over and is like the one in charge. I'm the one who knows. I'm not on top of every wall, but I'm the one who they report to, and sometimes I am on the wall. Isn't that the oath, the watch? You know, you can't handle the truth. Well, the truth is about knowing what's happening, being in charge. The president ultimately is the one with the ultimate watch. And he shat on it and came back without even explaining what that meant or why he did that or that he even recognizes it. And you, because you don't want it to vanish from the earth, for this to turn into a Christo-fascist corporate monarchy, hellscape, oligarchy, it's not that can't happen under Democrats, but we do have an actual declared conspiracy. You know, the theory in this case is that this is what they think will work. And they've published it, and they're now threatening it out loud. So the amazing nature of the choice to see this option, especially given that it's a consideration, obviously, with age, but at any age, this moment presenting itself with the populace having a reason to want you to leave or to put that out there, it's something really for any candidate to consider, especially as opponents normalize or threaten war. I want us to be ready, and I know you want us to be ready, and that's why we can't have the distraction anymore. We need you with the MacGuffin. Or take this amazing mulligan that you don't want because you want the MacGuffin not squandered. Take the Mulligan McGuffin and do what a hero and a champion does. You will not talk about honor, you will mint the currency of it, the physical manifestation of, I gave up being president. I'm not going to run for this. It's not about me. Like the, oh, come on. He's like, you know what? It's not, oh, come on for me this time. It's, oh, come on, Joe. Oh, come on, Joe. Like when that big feeling comes up, think about turning it, which you probably already do. Think about turning it to where is the win and where is the loss and how does it get parsed. Because if the win can only happen because of this weird aberration, if the win can only happen with another candidate and you making a magnanimous and heroic supportive gesture now, if that's the only way that that happens, and it allows you to be a mentor and democracy can continue, and we can from this moment be invigorated and inspired, and you can be part, I mean, you would be an asset we've never had in a campaign in terms of someone who, if you're ready, do it, but you have to know, and if you're not, man, you got us here. So, like, so land it. Land this amazing presidency with very high marks and the vision to see it doesn't always look like the yearbook says it's going to look. You know, I mean, the currency of opposite Donald Trump, at every minute, it's about him. At every minute, it's about appearances. It's about people measured the crowd wrong. People measured this wrong. This will be rigged. And you don't have to say a word. And no matter what he says, you will have beat him. If you deliver someone as strong as you, or even stronger, if they exist, but if you deliver someone like you, the next generation, if Kamala does this, or any one of the able people out there besides her, you can galvanize them. It will never be forgotten. But think about it. You would be giving up your job, and it's an antidote to a world where we're all lying just to keep our job. It's an antidote to a world where we're doing anything to save face or to win the thing we said we were going to try for, or to win in the eyes of our opponent, or to belittle them in the moment, rather than what a statesman, a statesperson does. The great minds of America and the great honorable minds they see into the distant future and into the distant past. And the difference between, well, what would you do to make sure that this democracy survives? And does it involve choosing that it survives, even if you're not the one who takes the next dance? Because there's a strange moment happening now where you know how to fire an arrow, and there's a target that's right there, and all you have to do is calmly shoot to your left, and the entire wall is just waiting to be pierced, and it will know. And the moment will change. It probably will change. Maybe because Project 2025 will begin violence. Or Trump will, or they'll do it independently and say, we're not collaborating. I beg of you, don't make us wait for leadership that counters Project 2025. Don't make us wait for leadership that tells us a way to digest and breaks up all of the hokum spewing from the diarrhea of Trump in front of microphones, where they just hold them there in front of his face for a half an hour for some... Why so many microphones? Please consider. It's never been possible. It's never been a thing we would want. And it's not a thing you want, which is why it's possible. And which is what makes it valuable, what makes it incredible currency that, weigh the value of that and what that could mean. Because in an era when falsehood has been normalized and this permuting hokum, when that has been normalized, what can really be said against it except for something really true? But how much do true things stand out if the bandwidth is all against measuring how things look on a Jerry Springer level? It really has to be a very powerful and very in-our-face thing, like someone giving up the most powerful position in the world because they value the power and what it is for everyone more than having it themselves, which is what Donald Trump has failed at from the beginning. It's why he didn't step back and step down and say, someone else should do this. He wouldn't even recognize it could have other value for him to make that kind of a gesture. He wouldn't even have considered it because it wouldn't have occurred to him in the first place, so he wouldn't follow that through. And likewise, many people wouldn't ever consider this, wouldn't ever consider, no matter how many people told them, maybe somebody else should do this. But as much as you are stubborn and have some vanity as much as anyone, I do. So I'm just saying I can understand. And it's my perception that there's maybe a bit of a blind spot there. But again, for you, if I may. But that being the case, doing that homework in an era where that's still rare, especially for people my folks' age. Self-reflection on that level and learning a new skill, or at least admitting like, I'm just gonna make this work. I'm going to understand. Because I want to demonstrate, I want to live up to this, to defending the Republic. And if this is really all too much hullabaloo and the smoke is clearing this week and we're just going to be amazed with what's going on, but gosh, at least take a moment to appreciate what an interesting diamond cut it would be, and what it would be to have Kamala galvanized with the recommendations of the most munificent and self-sacrificing, like giving, generous patriot. Like, look at who that is. That's you at that moment. At that moment, without making a big deal of it with what you're saying, to just say, this is why you are the person for this moment. I care that democracy survives and you are going to crush it. Take this moment, tear Project 2025 apart, help all those people, but help them not end us. Go get Donald Trump. You can do it. And let us just say, damn, dude, that's how much this means. Let it be a that's how much, not a people are saying. That's how much is an event that we all saw happen with our own eyes. Did you hear? Did you hear that? What? And it's a fact. And people can say whatever they want to say. But definitely the president who can do 4 more years can give one hell of a motherfucking speech talking about what democracy means and how it means renovation. It means growth. It means admitting that maybe you're not ready for something, or that even if you are, that if there's some part of the team that's not ready for it, like, sacrifice means how does the team continue? So that, you know, if somebody decided you're a liability and it's enough of an issue, then isn't it just becoming a liability and it's not about you? Unless you're like, I'm still doing this now, guys, I'm still doing this. When you did nothing wrong, but there's this barnacle that's now on top of the ship. You know what to do, man. Thank you for listening. This was almost as short as I hoped it would be. Not quite. Mulligan McGuffin is waiting for you. And it may go away. It will go away. Show us. Don't tell us what democracy means. Don't show us you can do it. We need to tell you. Show us you can do it on a level where we are saying, oh my God, dude. Please test him. He's on something, like, he looks great. This is awesome. Wow. He did have a cold. Holy shit. Okay, we're good. We need to be telling you, all right, dude. Next, what's next? Are we taking on, you know? We need to either be roused by your readiness, whatever it looks like. You don't need to be on a bike. Lean into Yoda. You're wise. You know, and you know how to take care of yourself. Do it. But we need to see you lock in and good so that we are not being told to feel good about it. We need to see it so we are good. So we're like, okay, he's here, he's back. That was just a bump. It needs to be that level. And it needs to include definitive statements and actions about the Heritage Foundation and people like Stephen Miller. It needs to be definitive, and it needs to be in the next days. It feels like that's where we are in terms of urgency. And that doesn't have to, we don't have to notice it tomorrow. But please be that refreshed you, or please assemble the speech that gives us the most incredible gesture, an act, a solidified act that gives us a Democratic candidate who's ready, that we know is ready and hasn't been sabotaged. Because let's just say it, I think you were sabotaged. Don't get tangled up in it. Don't let America get tangled up in that sabotage around the debate issue stuff. There's a thing with confidence there. Don't let that stop democracy from continuing. Use the incredible moment of handing this off. And that gesture is gold. It's gold. It shows that is what democracy means to you. And it means the words that you say after that mean something different too. It means that the advice that you give, or that if you choose to run in 4 years or 8 years, it means that the advice you give carries the weight of someone who had the gonads, but not that somebody needs to have gonads. It's okay to not have gonads. But of any kind. But you have the gumption and the courage, the tenacity to take an uncharted path that looks not as glorious in a way, but in fact, if it is victory, and especially if it's victory that you had to, brush the crumbs off and see and be like, oh. Please consider it. Not because it's a cool idea or because it contains Mulligan McGuffin, but it does. You don't want this mulligan, which makes it a good one to grab because you deserve it, because you don't want it. You don't want to stop. You want to continue, but people's confidence is ruptured, and that's not an issue we can deal with, and it's not your fault. But it's in the way. And it makes it possible for you to hand off to someone who is ready and can take the charge of all of the honor of that. And that example is the first step that shatters this hokum of lies. Because there's a lot of report of, he was saying this, or that was this. Oh yeah, it's going to be bigger than ever. It's going to be the biggest. A lot of people don't know. I know, and but it's going to be huge. And people are saying, and I would do that. I would do. I'm really an honorable person. But when someone does the thing, when someone gives up something that can only come once or twice, I don't know if you're going to want to run in 8 years, you know? Maybe then you'll feel like you're too old. Or maybe then you won't be interested in the presidency anymore. But if it ensures that a Democrat can run for real, like without a lot of other encumbrances, think of what that means. Think of what that gesture means. That's the choice to not do it could bookend the republic, and the choice to do it could be like a golden page that is the next chapter, in which, like, the first step, the first magnanimous step of, it doesn't have to be me, but it needs to be all of us. So it's got to be Kamala, or whoever she chooses, or whatever the process chooses, but I trust her with our lives. And this is why. We don't have time to screw around. So this is how freedom can resound. The next president of the United States, I'm handing off to you, Kamala. I know you can do it. Please show us that we're following you by leading. Don't prove it, do it. Disassemble the Heritage Foundation. Consider means with Donald Trump that are on the table now. And I think peaceful means are good. And there are many now available. And above all, just this idea. You can actually make this, Excalibur moment happen, of something that is mythic, but is real. If it's not the right thing, don't do it. But make sure that it's not the right thing for the right reason. Because we want you to fail doing the best possible thing for democracy, not fail trying to make Joe president. Unless they're the same thing. It's been the same thing before. But the thing is, Trump would never even think of any of this. Thank God that's the thing, we have you. We have someone, yes, who's stubborn, but who can listen. We have someone who can turn that "oh, come on" into a "oh, come on, Joe." Parse what best makes democracy win from, am I still the candidate? And if they still overlap when you figure out the math of all of it, awesome, do it. But don't take the presidency down with that ambition of a personal nature, right? Because then Trump is won, not just in this way of the presidency, but then he beat you and he beat us all. You are that honorable one, and this might be the best way to show it, that he can never, ever take away. And it kind of takes one person. Sometimes it takes someone to say no, not just no to him in terms of no, you can't do that, but it's no, I'm not going to participate, it is a no, you can't do that. I'm not going to participate in the easiest way to keep in the room. I'm going to participate to keep this room a place of democracy. Thanks for listening. Let freedom ring. I think that if there were a moment where we could hear one another's minds, it's postulated that our minds are connected through a bandwidth of thought or a hive mind. And I'm working on a piece that looks at falsehood, which is why I think about these things a lot. There's an iceberg right there, Burgles. And I think Burgles may be Trump in Project 2025, just very slowly coming this way. But in the falsehood, we look at things through the darkness and the bandwidth of illumination, where things that mean something glow, but that means that we see sometimes things that might mean a lot to everybody, but they might not mean the same thing. So a hate symbol, or a symbol for a political candidate, some people might really like. Maybe it's a Led Zeppelin shirt we see glowing there amidst all the darkness. And we're like, oh, I guess a Led Zeppelin fan, or who knows. But that symbol, some people are excited, and some people are like, I can't stand that singer. Or wow, those were really misogynists. But it glows with meaning. And so something about that makes it a space where we're able to visually represent, in a different way than the normal spectrum of our normal light, have this kind of different view, sort of like closing your eyes and what's still left of the exposure from rods and cones, the little light particle stuff dancing around in your vision. When your eyes are closed, that out of the noise or out of the darkness, there's a little image. And you see the tiara of the Statue of Liberty, or you see Donald Trump's hair and his eyes and his hands, and you're like, I think it looks like Donald Trump. Oh yeah, there's this, that's Donald Trump. Or anything is identified by a fragment of itself that's iconic. But this is part of this that I'm about to share, to move on from this. And it's because I deeply, deeply, deeply hope. And while this feed was begun with some fairly intense, grave statements, which are true, about Project 2025 bringing rapists, it's not merely just a flipping of the script on Trump, talking about our neighbors, immigrants bringing rapists, which he's done a few times. But it's because Project 2025 is indeed led by a child predator and sexual assaulter and a rapist. And more so, Project 2025 is entirely of rape culture and patriarchal terrorism and white supremacy. It's abominable and a threat to our habitat. And I have hope because I know we can help people who are in need come back from that kind of brainwashing or that kind of desperation. I know that the truth is with fact and involves fact, and that kindness and priorities like leveling with one another rather than leveling, these things matter. leveling with one another rather than reserving the right to level one another. That we benefit. We benefit from kindness, and a magnanimous gesture like this doesn't usually have such an incredible weight, but this could be a tide-changing event. It could change everything. It would be the first retort, in a way. It would be the first statement on the same stage to Trump's entire bandwidth of hokum and coercion and lies. And we want the chance to replace you with someone who honors democracy. And right now it may not be possible, and that's not your fault. The stuff that happened with the debate, if that is a mess now that makes it not possible for like the approach that has to happen to win, it's not your fault. But don't let not seeing that be your fault or your flaw. Let being the cogent mind that can see past the emotion of the moment or the difficulty of the emotion getting past it. You already beat him, and beat him for good now. Beat him. I mean, you won the election before. Beat him by passing it on, and by besting him in that you did not need to be the one who won the election. And it was more important for you to like give that up. You're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna spend my presidency, bang, take it. Because Kamala is gonna crush you. And the American people know that meaning matters, that fact matters, and that you don't tell people your crowd's big if it's not. It doesn't matter how big your crowd was, Donald. We just care that you're you, and I'm me, and I'm not going to let you make this about me. I'm going to make it about democracy. I hand off to the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. We will never be the same because somebody showed up like that. I mean, okay, if you're going to win, do it. Do it. Do it now. Do it so that we don't feel the need to check in and offer thoughts. Because we need to respond, not knee-jerk, but we need fireside chats, or we need to see that we can have chats amongst ourselves, watching what's happening with you and others, taking things seriously, potentially, if it were me, arresting Kevin Roberts and Stephen Miller and talking through this whole white supremacist Project 2025 thing, because it just sounds like a plan for coup and destruction of America. It's a change on the level that would be irreparably different, and we're already so far. We can't lose the chance to repair it So we know, I know, you know, we're not the only ones who know you can do it. Prove to us that you can do this, though. Prove to us that you cannot prove to us that you can do it. Prove to us that you can prove big enough, if it's the best thing, to pass a baton that history will love you for and that may save America. It really should. It really should save America in terms of this effort to squelch Project 2025 and the Nazis. It's a thought. I know you can do it. We just saw you do it. You crushed him in the last election. And then you governed for 4 years and did some really good things. So, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your service for decades. And there are other things that I would like to say. There are things I'm not as happy about. But I think you deserve the credit for doing some good things. I would like to see action that is consistent with human rights in Palestine and elsewhere, including here. There are other things you could do, but to some extent, you've had a chance so far. And unless you're ready to knock it out of the park, starting with Project 2025 and Trump, starting this week, show us that you have that cheek and the full capacity to know the Mulligan McGuffin is genius and something a genius knows to take. It's never happened before, and it takes someone who can land it. And you can do it. Don't prove you're not old. Prove you're not stubborn. Don't prove you're not old. Prove you're not stubborn. Prove you're young enough to use your stubbornness against the belief that you don't have new things to learn, or the humility that always is a new learning experience in a way of it might be someone else's moment. But be aware that if you recognize it, and it is, you found that it was your moment to rescue democracy by doing something that has not been done before. And then if you hadn't seen it and recognized it and had the courage and humility and just been the mensch to say, this is what we do, this is how we move forward, it is genius. I think if you do it. And that succeeds, that is truly potent. Like you. So let it come through. Let that potency come through. Show us this week that you have come to, and such that we're following you. And otherwise, tell us how you're coming through with a bulletin that the real president knows that a Mulligan McGuffin doesn't show itself without a real president taking a look, and you looked, and democracy is what gets to go up on the hook. You're going to try to ride out and meet her around the pass, but Kamala is the one who goes. And you'll be a mentor, or you'll take on a new project. I think you should declare yourself a moonshot mentor. I think that is something to cultivate and get out of people. You know, if Obama wants to hang out around the White House, that's awesome. I mean, if you have a team of people hanging out there for Kamala who are just like working on their own cool stuff, and you know, or at least accessible, you can call in the ex-presidents. It doesn't have to be ex-presidents, but think of what you can do now if you're not encumbered by all this stuff. It can be good. And there is nothing like the currency, especially with, let me say, mishandling and needless loss of lives in genocide. There is ground to recover in terms of confidence that you have your eye on the ball in terms of human rights and what really matters, which means you showing that even giving up you being the president by being the one able to baton pass to one who can do it for us. There will never be words more powerful than that act, ever. It's honor and duty, and it's savvy, and it's shrewdness. It's humility, it's service, and it's presidency. Because being the president is having the watch, seeing what's happening and making the best analysis about the best choice. And in this case, it is a becoming of the republic, or a continuing the republic choice. It's not a normal election. This is to keep them going. And so in that vein, what is it? It's truly, for the centuries, potentially a great, I mean, if you do this, people will come to think it was all a plan. If only. They'll start to think, oh, he just pretended and this was all, they just wanted to. But only if you are clever enough and badass enough to say, it does clinch it. It does nip this in the bud. Pass on to someone without that, without something that's nipping at them when you need to just be able to move. Or stay still and concentrate, do what you're doing and not be messed with. You know, or only be messed with by Trump or by the person you're in the room with, not by concerns or of are you ready? I know you're ready. You know you're ready. Show us you're ready by making the smartest choice right now. It will show us that you are the one and we are following you this week. Or it will show us that you are the one and we are devastated because, oh my God, look what he's doing. If you pass this on, and we are floored by, oh my God, look at this cogent mind we are losing as the candidate. Holy shit. Like, because part of it is we see, it's not just like, I want to be the one. We see that you know how good you are at this. And that when you make that speech, that's part of what we see. Is we're like, shit, this is kind of the shit we need. Which makes your pronouncement that this is the one. This is the one. This is like you've been wounded on the field. It's a Game of Thrones moment, but it's real. You're on the field and you're wounded, and we get to hear the monologue where you say, I wanted to be the one, but it's her, and she can do it. Not only that, she's taught me a few things. You've got to follow her. She's our only hope. If not, she'll tell you who. But as far as I can tell, that's the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. You pass it on, man. You pass it on. You make this crisis the opportunity it already is by seeing it, by being that cogent presidential mind. You take a minute. It's okay to take a minute to get to the right, the best, or at least a really, really good choice that gets us through. Thank you for hearing my thought. The Mulligan McGuffin. And in any case, Excelsior. I believe that if we could see the bandwidth of illumination, and little things might dash out to us that are just like the most iconic parts of something, that this is what we'd see if we could just kind of see by feeling, basically, or see by our sense of what things are. And so I want to offer this song. This is from the FalseHood, but it's an old song that people know. It's Broken Wings. And in the FalseHood, basically, the collection of all of our minds. See, everybody pauses. The collection of all of our minds becomes self-aware. And this time, it's so full of trauma and betrayal trauma. And this mind made up of all of our imagination about democracy becomes self-aware as a mind itself, sort of. And hearing all of these contradicting opinions that it knows to some degree, a lot of these are true. And maybe they're seeing different parts of the same thing, or maybe sometimes this mind of cognizance inside the cranium of the Statue of Liberty is hearing these different voices like a radio and not really sure it's anywhere, and it's not even a body, it's just there's an attention that's hearing these different voices and assembling this sense as it starts to hear hundreds and thousands at a time. Yeah, it was actually that bad, it was worse. But also seeing all these solutions, all these ways in which if only they knew this part of the truth, and if only you knew like you were victims too, it wasn't your fault, and yeah, you did bad stuff, but you didn't make that system, and that the mind of democracy, of all these minds together, a little bit like it happens here at the Mystery Font, where we do these, tell stories and explore ideas about democracy. But then in the Statue of Liberty, it at some moment just snaps into cognizance. And that mind is like, oh my God, you all need to hear this. You all need to hear all of you agreeing, because we all agree, or we can. If only you know this. And the closest that liberty can come is to like sing a song that tells us it's going to be okay, but it's a song that is, this is how we're going to make this okay. And so she, from our collective memory, sings a song that maybe a lot of people are humming on the radio or something, and it's like, yep, we know the lyrics to that one. Enough of us know the lyrics to that one. And so that's what I'll close this with, is sharing that. And make sure I've got the right thing here. All right.
Book of love will open up and let us
that you're half of the flesh and blood that makes me whole. Yeah, yeah. Take these broken wings. You've got to learn to fly and live so free. When we hear the voices sing, the book of love will open up and let us in. Take broken wings. We've got to learn to fly and live and love so free. When we hear voices sing, book of love will open up, let us sing. Yeah, yeah. So I know I need you so. Hopefully the vocal as I was singing along was synced. I'm not sure, playing it from the computer, the video. But close enough, hopefully. And if it's way off, then it's kind of an effect like maybe is happening with hearing all these different voices of what it might sound like if you're walking up, say, walking up the stairs in the Statue of Liberty as the minds of democracy liaise and she sings. Who knows? But that's Broken Wings by the band Mr. Mister, as recorded by myself and sung here, as one of the songs that if the statue, if our minds as a mind were caught by like, oh God, like Lean on Me is an obvious one, right? And for the right moment, it could be any kind of song, but something about Broken Wings, obviously with the idea of repair, and it seems one that makes sense. Anyway, that is just a way that I wanted to dovetail at the end of the talk about a decision, and believing either way, just making the decision one that's believed and understanding the possibility, maybe even better. That I wanted to frame it in terms of possibility and hope, and what we're building. It's not just about avoiding crisis, it's about we can build. We can really, really build. And that's where the revolution and the resistance, in terms of positive things that we can do moving forward, building trust, fostering trust, fostering a sense of possibility and that it's worth learning about one another. And in a time when all kinds of signals of fascism are up, well, including, I guess, maybe the most important one, that an organization that's clearly fascist in terms of Project 2025 is signaling with a confession, a whole published paper. But really, just to point out, they don't really want us to see them coming, exactly, because you don't need 900 pages to say the bad part. Anyone can talk in aspirational language about their hopes and dreams, but if doing good includes what other people would say is doing evil, then a lot of aspirational language is just betrayed and not real. I mean, not justified. Smokescreen. Or irrelevant. You know, if taking care of children means indoctrinating them into being vulnerable to the Ku Klux Klan and not having critical thinking skills or not having a well-rounded education, not having sex education, so that their own parents, for that matter, but for sure, you know, other people might find them easier prey because they don't just know a couple of basic things about, like, oh, you know, no, actually, even just stuff about how to, like, about consent, like that they deserve to be in charge of their own body, those kinds of things. We're in danger, and we don't want to allow the Ku Klux Klan and MAGA to endanger kids more and control them, control their lives more with these projections about how, you know, education outside of the tiny little super conservative bandwidth the anti-science, the anti-knowledge, the incredible bigotry that's just really a way to entrench inequality and gin class warfare and such. We have what we need to move forward, if not for an addiction to punishment and tribalism and hatred. And we can do great things. We can do good things. We can do good things. Well, I'm going to move on, I think, to conclude things here, or wind down. But it's worth mentioning, as we're just passing Independence Day, that Donald Trump was able to hoodwink us into thinking we didn't need to hear from him in a primary debate. And that's a really important thing to note. You know, that would have been normal. And I think we let him do that because we're afraid of saying no and just being around him. We don't want to deal with him whenever possible. So when he said, I don't need to debate, we're like, yeah, no, fine. But really, any president ever would want that. Any candidate ever would want that opportunity, especially if they'd done something in view of people that was wrong or bad. Because that was his first opportunity to talk to the country on that stage after the insurrection. Like, he'd been doing interviews and all this stuff, but that was him foregoing the chance. He's like, nope, pass. You're passing what? Like, that's Darvo. You're passing on the chance to, you have a chance to come here and apologize to us. And you're passing on the apology that you, oh, got it. You're passing on, that's not an interesting enough date for you. That you're not going to come and tell us about why you stalked Ruby Freeman and shame us. You're not going to come and tell us about what the hell meltdown happened with Four Seasons and your drippy lawyer, and like, there's nothing you want to talk about. You don't want to talk about how you sang an anthem with the insurrectionists. You don't want to talk about it. We let that happen because we submitted and because we were afraid. We need to recognize that part of this, that part of having, to some extent, submitted and or assumed that somebody else would deal with this. We certainly know that it's worth considering the goat escape. And we know that it's not happened before. And aha. Where is it? The goat escape could be yours if the prize is right. Yes, I think we'll close out with a wee bit. In fact, let's wind down with the theme of the falsehood from the mystery font. It's the goat escape proposed to the president. And all the best. Live long and prosper. falsehood will demonize your sensitivity. The falsehood will claim the press is our enemy. To cry fake news, then preempt remedy, suggests false identity. We are the reality distortion feeding. We are the reality distortion feeding. The fielding is real and the real is real. We are the reality distortion fielding. We are the reality distortion fielding. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. We are the reality distortion fielding. We are the reality distortion fielding. We are the reality distortion fielding. The falsehood will rule you not to question, just believe. The falsehood can rob you of the joys of words received. We are the reality distortion fielding. We are the reality distortion fielding. The falsehood will tell you it's the one the falsehood will tell you it's the one and only. We are the reality distortion fielding. We are the reality